serious about it. If I let them run my roads in town of Springville, somebody will get hurt. It's my responsibility. It's not the person that's driving it. It's not the car that hits them. It's my responsibility. I let them out on that road. That's something I wish people would thought of before they let them out on the roads.
Well, like I said, we've had them on there for going on 3 years. And that's no trouble. It's not the same group. It's the Marquette County group. I think they're all together. They police themselves. They're no worse than the snowmobiles. They run on the roads. And the snowmobiles, when they get done in Richford, instead of going the route, they'll go back to Hancock, past my place at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. They're all done for the run. Are you going to catch them? No, because by the time you call the cops, the hell is gone already. Yeah. I don't know. I had one guy call me that down to Deerfield.
Well, put it on a referendum.
Yeah. Make a motion to do that.
Put it on a referendum.
For an election.
Election.
That would be the thing to do, and then if you don't like it,
Can you do that? You'd have to ask. You'd have to ask Ruth.
I don't know. Put it on a spring referendum.
Yeah,
Let her feed in her face again.
Would it? Can you? I don't know if it's 50-50 here tonight or not. You don't know. We'll find out. But.
no problem.
Do I return this to you?
I wonder if you could do that, Bob. Yeah. Yeah. Ask Bob or ask. Yeah, go and ask. I've done it. You could do that on a
Foreign
referendum.
minds want to know.
Yeah. You could put it on a referendum. Let the public decide.
You just sign.
I mean, we'll voice our opinion, but let the public. Yeah. Majority rules.
Let's see, that would be check.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know one of the items on the agenda may turn out to be contentious with the ATV issue, but I want to remind all of you that this is the holiday season, so joyfulness is more in place than adversity. So in that spirit, we have some of our youngsters from one of our 4-H clubs, and I want to make note of the fact that they decorated this room and the demonstration room downstairs. These are the future leaders of America and the world. These are the people that are going to be taking care of all of us when we're too old to take care of ourselves. So be polite, and they are here to sing. You want to go ahead and bring them in? Why don't you come in? We'll line everybody up here. They have a selection of carols for us.
Might be rude.
Place to park out there, right? No place to park out there, is there?
Oh, really?
Good.
All right. Also, he didn't say he wasn't, but he's got a
Maybe
poor
he can't
back.
find parking.
He's got a really bad back. No. I went to zoning with him.
You don't want to hear my voice. Only one of ours from our club.
Is it 7?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Megan will do roll call for us, please.
Mrs. Krentz?
Here.
Mr. Heisey?
Here.
Mr. Tim?
Here.
Mr. Kapp? Mr. Eckstein?
Here.
Mr. Weddy?
Here.
Mrs. Collada?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Wadel?
Here.
Mr. Rothermel?
Here.
Mr. Kirschner?
Here.
All right, we'll stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda, but before we, I think we're going to, under new business, we are gonna move the discussion item to the request for ATV routes on county roads. We will do that before, we do our reports, all right?
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Okay, motion by Weddy, second by Eckstein. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we need an approval of the minutes of the November 7th, 2017 monthly meeting, and the 2018 county budget hearing.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Wadel, second by Bernadette. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, public comments, we have no one signed up for public comments other than the people that want to speak on the ATV. We have no unfinished business, so we are going to go down to, first I want you to note, please note that the documents, there are some documents in front of you. One is a 3-page document concerning the estimated summer population in Waushara County in 2016. It shows the difference in the population numbers during the fall through spring and the population in summer. I would like to thank Patrick Nearing from the Extension Office for providing this information for the board. Also, you have been provided a letter I received from the Town of Marion Board informing us that their town board is voting not to allow ATVs or any UTVs on their town roads. They're also against the use of Bannerman Trail for the purpose of ATVs and UTVs. As you know, Bannerman Trail is part of the Waushara County Park System and does not allow motorized vehicles on the trail except in winter, when it is open to snowmobiles. December 28th in room 109 from 10 to 1, we're going to have the retirement party for Randy Gramsey. I believe you'll get an invitation, and hope you can all make it. Also, January 2nd from 2:30 to 5 at the Sheriff's Department downstairs, there will be a little get-together for the retirement of Mark Piaski and Sally Soroka. So you're all invited to that as well. All right, now we're going to hold a discussion concerning the use of ATVs and UTVs on county roads. This will be a discussion only at this time. Each side will be given 20 minutes. We can stretch that out to 30 minutes if we have to speak. You must decide who will speak and how long they speak. If you want to just stand and say, I agree with the person that spoke before you, that would be appropriate. We'll try to refrain from repetition. I understand the subject has come up in town and village board meetings. I've also been informed some of these meetings have become very contentious. We will avoid that happening here. There will be no speaking when someone else is speaking. There will be no shouting out. If you cannot control yourself, Sheriff Nett will escort you to the door. You will be allowed to listen from the hall if you can control yourself. If not, you will be asked to leave the building. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. All right, first person on the list is Lisa Stone from Neshgoro. Lisa is speaking in opposition.
Thank you very much, and the good news is I'm not going to sing a Christmas carol tonight. I'm Lisa Stone, and as a property owner on Cumberland Lane in Spring Lake that borders the Bannerman Trail, I'm registering concerns about any proposed use of all-terrain vehicles on the trail or on the county roads in the neighborhood. My concerns are how ATV traffic on the trail and on the nearby roads would negatively impact the physical stability of the trail, the general public use of the trail, and the residents whose properties lie along the trails and the roadways. Rail trails accommodating walkers, runners, and horses are not compatible with rail trails allowing ATVs. And I mention this because it seems to me that if ATVs are proposed for the area around it, that the reason would be that they would want, in this area, that they would want to be on the Bannerman Trail, which is why I'm enlarging the conversation a little bit. ATV use on the trail would make it essentially inhospitable for people on foot or horseback. When the frost stabilizes the ground and compacted snow covers the trail, it's ideally suited for snowmobiles. To the Snowmobile Club's credit, they have applied good standards that support the protection of the trail surface and its perimeters. A section of the Gordon Chase Farm is farmed during the growing season, and pedestrian and equestrian trail users have to exit the trail and continue down County N to reconnect with the trail. ATV access to a section of County N could make the road unsafe or less safe for road traffic as well as trail users. My husband, Don Hellett, and I bought property in Spring Lake nearly 30 years ago, in part because its proximity to the trail and the peaceful nature of little old Spring Lake. We're avid gardeners and spend most of our time outside in the spring, summer, and fall. ATV engine noise and fumes would be incredibly disruptive, would destroy our enjoyment of our property, and may well diminish our property value. Several neighbors whose properties abut the trail agree. I respectfully request that proposals to open the county roads for ATV traffic be roundly denied. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Next, we have James Zanzi. He has registered in opposition, but he does not want to speak. Don Howlett, registered in opposition, but not to speak. Elizabeth Page will speak in opposition.
Good evening. I am a Town of Leon resident, and I've been a Town of Leon resident and Waushara County resident for 19 years. I am opposed to ATV routes on Waushara County roads for numerous reasons. Pretty obvious: safety, increased traffic, increased noise. I also want to make note that the Town of Leon Board of Supervisors did turn down the request from the ATV Association to have ATV routes in the Town of Leon. What I am about to read is just a quick excerpt from the Wisconsin ATV UTV Association Facebook page. And it was written by a Waushara County resident and I believe business owner. And it states, I would like to see, oh, just so you know, I'm only reading the pertinent parts. I would like to see the law, all roads are legal, and the only way to restrict operation is with a preferred routes that are established. An ordinance could only be created to restrict certain roads for just cause, and the burden should be on local municipalities to show it. Wherever a moped is allowed to operate, so should an ATV and UTV. This was the response from the Wisconsin ATV UTV Association. While this would work for certain parts of the state, it would be a detriment for others, urban versus rural, for example. The difference between mopeds and ATVs, UTVs, is our vehicles are designed for off-road use and thus do not need to comply with DOT safety and emission standards. Therefore, it would work out for that. That is all I have to say. I am in opposition to this. Thank you for your time.
Judy would like to speak in opposition.
I also live in Leon Township, Pine River, and I was involved in getting a petition sent and signed when we were debating the ATV routes. And in a short amount of time, we got 60 signatures that were against the ATV trails. And I've been a resident here since 1978. And I just feel that the biggest impact would be the safety on the township roads and also on county roads. So I'm against having the ATVs on county roads.
Next, we have Gary Lawrence from Pine River, and he will speak in opposition.
Good evening. My name is Gary Lawrence. I live in the town of Leon, Waushara County, and I'd just like to remind the county board that they've done a good job to this point in time in enforcing what I think is a majority view of our county and not allowing ATVs on the county roads. The definition of use of a public road would be to connect a trail system to a trail system. We obviously in Waushara County don't have any such trail systems. There's been no demonstrated economic benefit to having or an unnecessary burden on the ATV owners if they trailer their ATVs from a trail system to a trail system. Further, I think other counties have demonstrated a responsible view in coming up with an application system for getting the use of public roads for a vehicle that's designed not to be on public roads, strictly off-road. And I hope that we can continue the use of our public roads for appropriate motor vehicles. Thank you.
Next, we have Marty Wilkie, and Marty will speak in opposition.
Evening. I live in Nisquaro, but I'm in the town of Spring Lake and on Spring Lake. And I would like you to consider not letting the Bannerman Trail be included in the ATV routes. As other neighbors have spoken, we have really come to treasure this old railroad trail. And a lot of us use it for de-stressing, enjoying quiet nature. The fact that many of us share it in multi-uses, whether it's riding horses, riding our bikes, running, families with young children, walking our dogs, just taking time to relax and think about things and enjoy what each season is. I think it's a wonderful trail, and I would like to keep it that way. I think the problem of safety, if the ATVs are allowed access to it, would really take it away from the rest of us, and that doesn't seem fair. We gladly share it in the winter with the snowmobile traffic, and I think they also do a very good job of maintaining it and adhering to the requirements. Thank you.
Next I have Arno Wilkie. Is this right? You registered in favor of the trail, but not to speak? Okay. Michael Wood, registered in favor, but not to speak. Brandon Bonfiglio is, would like to speak in favor. Brandon is from Almo.
Really town of Aurora, but it's an Almo address, just so everyone's clear. I do live in Waushara County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brandon Bonfiglio, and I represent the Waushara County ATV Association. On behalf of the residents of Waushara County, thank you again for allowing us to speak tonight during tonight's county board meeting. So I'm just going to start by explaining what the Waushara County ATV Association is. There's probably some people in the room who have never even heard of it. They just know that people are asking for ATV and UTV routes. So we're a not-for-profit organization registered with the state of Wisconsin. We were recognized by the IRS as a 501c7 organization. And thus far, we're the only ATV organization that is recognized and endorsed by Governor Scott Walker, so that sets us apart from other ATV clubs and such in the area. So he signed and he penned a letter, then signed us thanking for our selfless service to the people of this and surrounding counties. So we're also a collection of residents of Waushara County mainly, but we have people who are affiliated with our organization from Waupaca, Winnebago, Green Lake, Marquette, and Adams County as well. Well, we have several hundred dues-paying members. Much of our support comes from both residents and non-residents of Waushara County who do not affiliate with the organization but would still like recreational and business opportunities within the county to grow. Along with educating people about the safe and family-friendly activity of ATV and UTV riding, one of our main objectives is to appear before elected officials, such as yourself, to help navigate the route designation process, much like we're doing tonight. So what is our objective tonight? So first and foremost, it's not in my notes, but just so I can address the people who came up before. The Waushara County ATV Association isn't asking for the Bannerman Trail. I myself, though it doesn't look like it, I run on the Bannerman Trail about once a week during the summertime. And I understand that that is a resource and a treasure for people in Red Granite and Spring Lake. So we're not asking for that particular area. We're not asking for any routes in the town of Marion, and we're not asking for anything in the town of Leon tonight. So just so we can clear up that if there was any misconception about what we're doing tonight. All right, so I'd like to dispel a few myths about ATV and UTV routes. One is noise, and the first complaint you usually hear all the time is that ATVs and UTVs are obscenely loud. All off-road vehicles are limited to 96 decibels by federal law, and most come from the factory with a noise rating of about 80 decibels. So to put it into perspective, about your average lawnmower is about 100 decibels. So when you're at traveling speed, an ATV is here and gone by the time you even hear it. Whereas somebody who is mowing their lawn may take 30 minutes to an hour and you hear that drone the entire time. Safety, number two. Any recreational activity comes with a certain level of risk, obviously. But ATV and UTV routes pose no greater risk than, say, snowmobiling or any other recreational activity or sport, and have proven far safer in our county than say, swimming this year. With the proper mitigations, such as hours of operation, speed limits, posted routes, and following laws governed by the DNR and the state, which we follow very closely, and even add some restrictions. Other areas with similar legislation to the one we're proposing have had enormous success and incredibly safe recreational opportunities. Unruly behavior, of course, it always takes one bad apple to ruin anything for anybody, right? You see it in Red Granite. Every year they're asking to close down the quarry because there's somebody who's an idiot, right? So we do a lot of educating. We make sure that people who come to our meetings understand what's expected of them. We encourage a safety course. If you're under the age of 18, you have to go to a safety course. But these concerns really haven't materialized in this county. We've had routes for about a year now, or any counties in the surrounding area. And the average age of one of our riders in the ATV Association is about 56 years old. And anybody in the state of Wisconsin, it's about 46 is the average age. The other thing that helps the unruly behavior is that these machines are super expensive, right? $6,000 plus for an ATV, and you're looking at sometimes in excess of $20,000 for for a UTV. Objective 2, last week I sent the Corporation Council, sitting here, a draft ordinance based on Wisconsin Senate Bill 392. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, and it was just recently signed by Governor Walker as Act 87. And so what this act does is it allows a town, village, or city to designate a state highway with a speed limit of 35 miles per hour or less as an ATV, UTV route without the need for DOT permission. So what you've seen in the past is a lot of these network of trails that go all the way around, even though it's a, let's say, State Highway 21, and it's a 25 mile per hour zone. We want to get to Quick Trip. It's about a 15-yard jog on 21. We just couldn't do it before. Well, now we can. And actually tonight, one of our members, Tom Yancey, is speaking to the Village of Red Granite Board. They invited him to come so we could open up that little short portion in Village of Red Granite on 21 to access the Quick Trip. So that was the village coming to us asking for that particular area. And so the ordinance that I sent the Corporation Council follows almost exactly in line with that particular Act 87. The consistency is that the approved town, villages, and cities in Waushara County and bordering counties would be able to open up those county roads, much like they're able to open up state roads with, with obviously certain restrictions. As a refresher, and I'm not sure everybody in the room even knows this. I know that even people in the club are like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize that we had routes in that area." So the Waushara County approved ordinances are Town of Poisippi, Aurora, Warren, Deerfield, Coloma, Richford, Dakota, Plainfield, Oasis, Hancock, and the villages of Red Granite, Plainfield, Hancock, and the city of Watoma. And these routes are to connect to Winnebago, Adams, and Marquette counties, and will shortly connect to Green Lake and Wapaka counties. In fact, I was in the town of Berlin last night. Next month they're voting on it. It's very, very positive. Everybody in the room is for ATV routes, and they'll connect into town of Warren routes. So I understand this is a discussion only. I ask you guys to review the updated ordinance. I know Ruth is going to send you something here in the coming weeks. And again, we're only asking for very short connecting routes between these route ends to serve businesses and recreationalists. And I know John and other people are going to come up, so I'm going to wrap it up with what I'm asking for in eastern Waushara County. County Road XX, that's in the town of Poisippi from Chicago Avenue to County Road D, that's 1.4 miles. County Road E, that's the town of Warren from Cumberland Avenue to the village of Red Granite southern limit, that's 1.6 miles. And then that short portion that's just north of Red Granite, that's 0.7 miles, also in the town of Warren. County Road EE from Chicago Drive to village of Red Granite north limit, which is 0.9 miles. And if we were going in order, I would hand it off to Jerry Lauer, but I think you probably have somebody else on the list coming up.
I do. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for listening, even if you're in opposition to it. I appreciate your guys' time.
But I'm sorry, this is Jerry Lauer. Plainfield is next to speak in favor of.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jerry Lauer from Plainfield. I started the club off from the Waushara County ATV Association in Plainfield area. We have routes opened up this year in Plainfield, Hancock, and we got able to end up going into Adams County to connect to all the Adams County routes, and we're trying to get into Coloma area to get into the Marquette area. There is a few county roads that we need to access all this. So in Plainfield, we've been open for a year. All through the Plainfield area, there's probably roughly about 80-90 miles that you can travel, and had no complaints that were serious complaints. One was a noise complaint by an elderly person, which when we found out what it was a Harley that would go by her house. So that tells you that ATVs are a little quieter than Harleys. Not bad-mouthing Harleys, but, you know, it is true. They did impact Plainfield. I mean, the businesses there are big impacted by them. They brought in a lot of people from Adams County, and that's bringing money to our area, not stripping it away from Waushara County. We need to bring the money back to Waushara County, and, you know, snowmobiling season is not very good anymore. We need a new season that's going to promote businesses and help businesses. It's $10 to fill up a tank. That's more money for the gas stations. They're going to get a soda. They're going to stop and have a burger. It's a joy of riding. I think our youngest member in the western part is probably 30 years old. So, I mean, they're not young kids that are out having fun. They're reasonable adults that like to go for a joyride, and which is fun. Wife and I do it every evening. Not so much now because it's a little cool out, but every evening we'd go out for a ride when I got home from work. Just go for a little ride, and you see a lot of wildlife. It's fun. If you haven't done it, I recommend you go for a ride. Find somebody that has one, go for a little ride. It's enjoyable. So the county roads that I would like to see in Waushara County on the western side is County Road J. Now before I asked for all of County Road J, but I kept watching it. Well, County Road J is fairly busy road from 73 to P. So my proposal now is County Road J from 73 to County Road A. County Road A all the way to 12th Court. 12th Court, from 12th Court to that section of A doesn't get traveled a whole lot, and it's more open so you can see a lot better. That is my recommendation now for around by Oasis area there. It's a lot safer than going down at the busier County J. County Road A by town of Oasis, which I just mentioned, that's 0.8 miles. County Road J was 287 feet, which isn't too far, and there's a stop sign right there by 73. So of course it's slower traffic. County Road V in Hancock, from Beechnut Avenue to South Forest Street. It's 0.5 miles. It's an overhead that goes over 39. It's very useful to connect into all the other areas. Right now we go way out and cross over. If we had that, it would bring more people into the Hancock area, which I'd like to see more people coming and using that. Next one is County Road FF in the town of Hancock, from Buttercup Avenue to Chicago Avenue. That's 0.9 miles. That will help us connect into Coloma area so we can get into the Marquette area, Marquette County. So bring people from there up to our county to spend some of their hard-earned money. County Road GG from Richford, from Chicago Road to Cottonville Avenue, that's 341 feet. That's, again, a spot where we need to get to Coloma to get to Marquette County. These are very short distances. I kept watching them, see what, the routes and everything else, went through the maps. This is about the only area we can get to go through to get to these. Again, it's something new for the county. We understand that. And we need something for this county to build and to bring the revenue back into this county. That's all we're looking for, is to help improve Waushara County. Right now, everybody's going way up north. When you go up north, you take a weekend, if you're taking your family, you're throwing out $500–600. Easy. Why not bring that to our area? Why not spend that money here? Help the businesses grow here instead of sending people out of our area. We need more profit here. That's what we want to do, is help to bring profit here. That's all I'm asking. So just think about it and, take it serious. It's a high demand area now. It's going to be better than snowmobiling, especially with the winters we've been having. Thank you, guys.
Leon Sanchez? Leon wants to speak in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next person, I'm sorry to say, I cannot read your signature. But if you live on N3379, County Road B in Hancock, and want to speak in favor of, okay, what is could you spell your name for me?
Joe.
Joe? Last name?
Solis, S-O-L-I-S.
Thank you very much, Joe. Next, we have William Crawford from Richford, who will speak in opposition.
Hi, Bob. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you. And I want to quote some facts from the Wisconsin ATV and UTV Safety and Enforcement Study for 2016 that was done by the DNR. Wisconsin had 22 ATV and UTV fatalities. We're just talking fatalities right now. The fatality trend has been on the increase since 2004. 91% of the operators involved in an accident, fatality, reported no ATV and UTV safety education course. This is not required by the state, but these courses are out there, and 91% of the people involved in these fatalities have not taken safety courses. 72% of the ATV and UTV fatalities in 2016 were attributable to alcohol. That's one of the problems that we have with ATVs and UTVs. So many of them go from bar to bar to bar. The 10-year trend of alcohol being involved in ATV and UTV accidents is up the same number, 72%. The number one cause of accidents, 63% of fatal accidents occur on roadways, and the number of miles are increasing, which will increase fatalities. So that's the groups who are for the county passing these ordinances to travel on roadways. 63% of the fatalities happen on roads, not on trails. ATVs and UTVs are designed for off-road use, equipped with soft, low-pressure tires and high center of gravity, causing them to be unstable on roadways. This is right out of the DNR report, and many manufacturers recommend that these ATVs and UTVs are not used on roadways. Most ATV and UTV fatalities have occurred while the driver was operating at a safe speed. So if they're going 35 miles an hour, that doesn't mean that the driver isn't going to kill himself or someone else. There are 361,839 registrations of ATVs and UTVs in the state of Wisconsin right now. And I think you have information in front of you that shows the increase in our population during the summertime, and we have no idea. Those people aren't required to be registered. We have not all of the roads in Richford are open for ATV and UTV use. The road that I live on, we passed a petition stopping use of the ATVs and UTVs on that road. One of the reasons was that we connect to a senior moment, Bob.
Road.
Rustic Road. We connect to a rustic road, which is gravel and like Bannerman Trail. That would, you know, these ATVs and UTVs would create havoc on it. So while I understand that ATVs and UTVs are fun and they are utilitarian, but they belong where the DNR and the manufacturers say they belong, and that's off-road. They're not designed to be on the road. I have given a copy of this report to the chair, and I would imagine the chair will pass it out to you when she makes copies. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Richard Delisle, is that it? Yes. Oh, wow. Thank you. Richard is going to speak in favor.
I don't belong to any of the groups here. I just had heard about tonight's meeting, and I'm always concerned when I see any type of legislation or opening of roads and things like that out there that can hurt commerce. And I think Waushara County, with a lot of their ordinances, has hurt commerce in this area. I hear that from a lot of businessmen that I've in the last 4 years or 5 years being retired up here, getting a chance to talk to many of the businessmen. They're concerned about a lot of changes that has happened that hurt their business. So I'm here. I wrote down a few things just to stay on the subject. So I understand at tonight's meeting you are looking at allowing the use of some county roads for ATV use. I was asked to attend tonight's meeting if I was interested in the matter. I do not know where the county stands on this issue, but I feel that I would like to express my support for the use of county roads. I live in Waushara County. I live in the town of Wautoma. I own land in the town of Marion, and I own 116 acres in the town of Richford. I own 5 ATVs. And we have a lot of fun with my family during the summer months going out and using the ATVs. And a little bit when there's a little bit of snow and out there on the ground. I have 116 acres with 5 miles of ATV trails, and yet I cannot go to a fast food place to have lunch from there. If I wanted to just go off of my land over to have lunch, I couldn't even go to a fast food place and have lunch. I pay registration on all 5 ATVs. Comes up every 2 years. My wife keeps saying, why are we doing it? Because we're on private land. I said, one day maybe we'll be allowed to use it like the general public is allowed to use the roads. In northern Wisconsin, and I'm originally from Upper Michigan, I was just up there recently. But in northern Wisconsin, they have opened their communities to ATVs and UTV machines. Their businesses benefit from this community-friendly environment. We need to be friendly with all the people that bring in business. Yes, we want some control, but we need to be friendly. We need business in this area. I see it each and every day in this area. It's much safer to ride an ATV on county roads than on rough trails. But they're not asking to just use it on the county roads. They're asking to use it on the trails as well. They just want to connect between the trails. And we need a trail system in this area. Would I ride it? I'm not sure. But I would love to go into town once in a while and use the local businesses. It's much safer to ride and I know safety is an issue, but if you can just picture yourself many times, it's much safer to ride in the direction of traffic than a snowmobile riding in the ditch with the lights blinding you and coming straight on. Many times I've ridden the county roads at night and a snowmobile is on a trail. You know, you're talking safety here. ATV people are very conscious about their vehicles. There are many unsafe machines and equipment on our roads today. Farm equipment uses the state highways and county roads in a very dangerous manner. Many manure spreaders use the road, and yet they have no signs and lights on them. Recently, I just came up on one real fast and was lucky there was no other traffic coming. They spread dirt from the fields and to the roads and unsafe. I also ride a motorcycle. It makes it very unsafe. So there's a lot of things that are being done on our county roads that's unsafe for everybody. So don't single out ATVs. Some of the farm equipment uses 2 lanes. Coming around the corner the other day, or coming around the corner with a motorcycle and meeting up with a large piece of equipment is very scary. Amish buggies use the state highway and state roads daily. The other day I saw a small buggy with 4 kids riding down a county road, right on County GG. There's no lights on that buggy. There's no safety signs or anything. There are already many rules for ATV riders, and they have to abide by those rules. There's laws that tell them what age they have to ride and how they can ride and what courses they have to take in order to ride. So there's plenty of other laws out there that protect the ATV riders or direct the ATV riders. The county should welcome ATV users and allow the area business to enjoy the revenue they bring. I support the use of ATV on all county roads. And thank you and Merry Christmas.
Howard Andrews registered, but it doesn't say if you're in favor or opposition. Did you want to speak? Okay, thank you. I'll mark that down for you. Rachel and Brent Murick. Okay. Registered in favor of but not to speak. Marlon Rates. I don't know what your pleasure is. Okay, in favor or opposed? Okay. Go right ahead.
Good evening. I'm not the smartest person in the world or the most intelligent. Common sense wise, I have some. And I just don't understand why we can have going to some businesses but not to others. Like it'll get to Coloma, but it can't get to our place of business. Marquette County, come up to the county line, they can't get to our business. And it wouldn't take that much to get it. So we can have more revenue coming in. It would help the county. I'm almost certain of that. So, and I'm in favor of it. It's not a lot. It's just to help us all out. Thank you. Coloma Camperland, Coloma, Wisconsin.
Next, John Nixon, Watoma, speak in favor, speak for information only.
My name is John Nixon, and for those of you that don't know me, I've worked at Charles Automotive for the last 27 years. And in 27 years, I've seen a lot of changes. This is a business decision on my part. We have a dealership that we just built. Right now, we're paying an extremely great deal amount of money in taxes, and I think you three know all of that story. The Plainfield, Richford, Coloma area have not had any problems in the last 5 years they've allowed ATVs. I've talked to the deputies. I've talked to the guys that patrol that area. Mark, Jerry, Bob, you all know if somebody's going to have a complaint, they'd come to you with it. And I haven't heard from you guys at all, so I'm assuming there hasn't been any. The safety report that Mr. Crawford referenced to, you can get on the DNR website. And the big numbers that we used as 60, 70%, those statistics are 22 deaths statewide in 2016. with 361,000 ATVs registered. 8 of those were on routes. 2017, as of year to date, 27. 9 were killed on routes. Not non-routes. There's people, yes, they do go up the road because they're not going to abide by the rules, just like everybody does. You're going to have bad eggs in every crowd. So in the 2 years combined, you're looking at 49 deaths on, we're just north of 40 or 400,000 ATVs registered as of year to date now. Like I said, you can find those on the DNR enforcement page. Very easy to find. Getting back to commerce on this thing, our dealership, if I look at it in a perspective of we can sell one more car, it might sound funny, a month because somebody happens to be in the area and saw something they liked. And the other new car dealership sold one new car because they saw something like they were in the area. This comes to a tax revenue of $25,000 in sales tax. This is what the county would collect. 2 dealerships. K&M themselves in Hancock has built a new facility. They're north of 110 machines they sold this year so far. They're putting up a new facility not because they're not selling machines, it's because they are selling machines. This is an industry that's growing at leaps and bounds. And if we don't get on a train on this thing, we're going to miss the boat on this whole thing. I ATV in Juneau County quite a bit. I ride with the undersheriff over there. Everything in Juneau County just about open, even the city of New Lisbon, which has 3 state highways going through it. City of Mauston has now opened up all the road traffic to ATVs. Well, they have, so. They also have an Amtrak that goes through there at 80 miles an hour, and that hasn't seemed to bother anybody either. And what I'm saying is that this is a commerce issue. I mean, you want to keep these businesses in Waushara County, keep them in Waushara County. But you have to have some revenue to help support them. Our hotels, our gas stations, our restaurant, our bars, everything is affected. If I go to the area riding on an ATV, I got friends that take golf clubs with them because they're going to go golfing somewhere else. I don't golf. It doesn't interest me at all. However, I will take a rod and reel with me somewhere. I take one everywhere I go when I go ATVing, just in case there's somewhere to go fishing. That's what I pay my license fees for. It's just not one sport. It's a combined spending money type thing. You're not going to ride an ATV, go from point A to point B. Boy, that was nice. I saw 6 birds. I drove 6 miles. That's not how it works. Talk about the safety issue. ATVs, well, they're unstable on the roads. If I bought a 125 Bultaco motorcycle, a dirt bike, I can't ride it on the road. It says not for road use at all. However, if I put a headlight and a tail light on it, yeah, you can put it on a road. DOT says I can. The same motorcycle. The other one does not have a sticker. You take a boat, 8-person capacity. I got 12 life jackets. I got 12 people on the boat. Nobody ever gives a never mind to that. But it can only hold 8 people, but there's 12 on it. These are the kind of things that we got to take a serious look at whether we want ATVs on the road or not. I mean, do you want to keep your commerce in this county? We got hotels. We got one in Red Granite's been in receivership 4 or 5 times. Marlin here thinks about adding on to his campground. He's got people that come in, take their ATVs, go to the next county. Hell, our website at one time said that you go to Marquette County ATVing if you want to go ATVing. We were promoting the other county. It's not on there anymore, but it was.
John, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we have Judith Gusky, registered in favor but not to speak. Dennis Williams, speak for information only.
I was going to speak on behalf of the snowmobile club concern, but the gentleman in front row said they're not. That's good.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Beard Stouffer, speak for information only.
I'm here with the snowmobile club. 2 of our concerns have been answered, so
Okay, thank you very much. Heather Vincentowski, I never can pronounce Heather's name, I'm sorry, Heather. She works for the county, and I register in opposition but not to speak. Tracy, same name. Registered in opposition but not to speak. Sheila Dassow, registered in favor but not to speak. Sherry Schultz, registered in favor but not to speak. Steve Van Arsdale, registered in favor but not to speak. Okay, Jeff Daly, registered in favor but not to speak. Karen Bretza, registered in favor but not to speak. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. Nathan Lynn, registered in favor but not to speak. Charles Stratton, registered in favor but not to speak. Patricia Johannes, registered in favor but not to speak. Roger White, registered in favor but not to speak. Connor Wade, registered in favor but not to speak. Gary Schrader, same thing. Deborah Hopp, also in favor but not to speak. Mary Cirkovic, hope I got that right. Registered in opposition but not to speak. Jason Caswell, registered in favor but not to speak. John Warwick, registered in favor but not to speak. Craig Starkweather, registered in opposition. Craig, you have it marked that you want to speak. Did you want to speak, Craig?
Very briefly.
All right, thank you.
This issue was one that came up in the town of Mount Morris as part of a route was scheduled to go through Mount Morris. Currently, I don't think there is a route, at least currently, possibly. My understanding they may come back with another one at some point. But at that point, I had conversations with every person I could on that route to find out what their particular feelings were about that. And majority said, we moved here because we like the pristine quietness in the area. I know you're saying it does make a lot of noise, but they did not want the increased traffic. And they have gone to the town board and told them that. So from the town of Mount Morris, I don't have the whole township, polled or anything like that, but those people that would have been affected by that have said, no, not in our township. And I just want to give that to you at a time.
Next we have Josh Gates, registered in favor but not to speak. Mike Bain, registered in favor but not to speak. Robert Allen, registered in favor but not to speak. Okay, William Bays, is that correct? All right, thank you. Registered in favor but not to speak. Emily Hopp, in favor but not to speak. Michelle Immel, registered in favor but not to speak. Ruth Penterman, registered in favor but not to speak. Grant Wandry, registered in favor but not to speak. Matt Laurie, registered in favor but not to speak. Angie Tony, registered in favor but not to speak. Marianne Tim, registered in favor but not to speak. Doug Tim, same thing. David Friday, registered in favor but not to speak. And Shad Camel, registered in favor but not to speak. To all of you out there, if I have mispronounced your name, I am truly sorry. At this time, we have the DNR with us. If you would like to address the board at this time. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Do you want to? Would you like to, no, I'm sorry, you can't. Would you like to grab a couple chairs and have a seat? Just have you stand through this whole meeting. Okay, next, Sheriff Jeff Nett. Do you have a couple things, Jeff?
Good evening. My message is the same as I've spoken to other groups, town boards, municipalities. My concern is with the safety of the ATVs on the roads. The smaller vehicles sharing the road with the larger and faster vehicles is not a good mix. We've had the discussion of tourism. My concern is for the safety of all the tourists that come to Waushara County, and I understand that conversation, but again, my concern is with the safety of the ATVs on the roadway. In the summer, our traffic increases because the population increases. Some put it as 4 times the amount that we have for a year-round population, but in the summertime, all of our roads are busy. A lot of our roads are narrow, and I have a lot of hills and curves, and this is the concern that I have. On July 16th, there was a crash in Dane County, and this crash is the type of a crash that I'm concerned about and worry about. On July 16th, down in Dane County, an ATV crash occurred on a county road. An ATV was going down the road and was struck from behind by a car. The ATV driver was killed. The same day, in our county, in the town of Plainfield, a UTV was going down the road. The deputy's accident report indicates the ATV was going about 45 miles an hour. The driver was going to make a right turn onto another town road. At that time, a deer ran up, caused the driver to swerve. The driver turned sharply to the left. This caused the ATV or the UTV to roll over. There were 4 occupants on that UTV, 3 of them injured, 1 of them seriously injured, had to be transported to the hospital. Just a few weeks ago, our office had a request from a law firm for all the records from this crash, so I don't know where that's going, but that's a concern that we have. This past spring, the sheriffs from around the state shared the information, the following information about the ATV and UTV use on county roads. This is strictly county roads, not town roads or village streets. Most counties do not allow ATV or UTV use on county roads. This is true for the higher population counties, such as in the southern part of the southeastern part of the state, eastern part of the state. ATV and UTV use is popular in the northern and western part of the states, and in these counties there are some use of county roads to connect other ATV trails and routes, but there is no county that has 100% use of county roads that I was aware of. In these counties, the sheriff and the highway commissioner help to determine the routes that are safe and used for these connecting routes. ATVs and UTVs are designed for off-road use. This is right from the manufacturers, and they do not meet the federal standards for highway use. And this is a basic concern that I have with these vehicles on the roadway. So that's all I had to say. Yep.
Next, Brian Freimer.
Those of you that don't know me, I'm the highway commissioner for Waushara County. Given the responsibility of highway commissioner, it's not normal that we would condone having vehicles that do the multiple speed thing, similar to what Jeff answered to. That being said, we have a minimum of 12 trucks a day on roads. When we're hauling blacktop or gravel to projects in the summertime, we're using them roads on a fairly steady basis, trying to keep production up. So there's a safety issue with that right there. Yeah, there's always an issue with signage. In the past, we've noticed that some of the signage is not being adhered to by MUTC rules as required by most of the ordinances that the townships are passing. If Green Lake County just passed an ordinance dealing with ATVs, and part of the thing that they have in there is there has to be a minimum amount of funds set aside at the county level that the county would be responsible for maintaining all signage, and along with funding available, including a type of a bond issue that would be out there that would cover signage, because signage is very expensive, and it needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
Any questions for Brian? Okay, thanks, Brian.
Sure.
All right. EMS, you have anything for us? No? Okay, thank you. I believe that's the end of our presenters, and now it's time for the board to have a discussion. This is the place to do it. Speak out. All right.
Ask the sheriff something?
Yes.
Is it true that that they're allowed to have an open intoxicants on these ATVs?
That discussion came up this year. This fall, the sheriff from Lafayette County ran into a situation where there's been more and more people riding UTVs with open intoxicants on the machines going down the roadways. I checked with the DNR, and the law, because UTVs and ATVs are governed by DNR laws, DOT laws sometimes don't cover all of those. I'm of the opinion that it's illegal to ride down the road in a UTV with alcohol, but that's still something that's in question, but it is something that was noted by the sheriff from Lafayette County that it's becoming a big problem down there. Ben or Heather, you have anything to add to that?
Under current state law, it is legal to have open intox in any recreational vehicle. You just cannot be intoxicated. And any OWI charge would not go on a driver's license because the state statute specifically excludes ATVs and snowmobiles under the motor vehicle laws. So it simply would be a civil forfeiture. If caught twice within 5 years, which is honestly a difficult thing to do, then it would become a crime. Regardless, it does not go on a driver's license.
But the county could restrict that in their ordinance, correct?
They can make the law tighter than what it is. They can't loosen the law.
Jeff, if someone has lost their license due to their driver's license due to multiple DUIs, can they still drive an ATV?
There's not a driver's license required to operate a UTV, so they would be able to drive that on the roads as a UTV, ATV.
Pat.
Did you get a sheet of the routes connections that they want? Did you get that or not?
I don't recall seeing the ones for the county roads. I've seen the ordinances from the town of Plainfield, the town of Oasis, and the town of Hancock, or town of Deerfield, but I have not seen any other requests or any other ordinances.
I guess what I'm asking is, these roads, the speed limits, is your contention that if they're using part of a county road, and the speed limit is, is it all the speed limits on all the county roads 45?
No,
55?
the general speed limit on all the county roads is 55 miles an hour, unless there's a sign in place that makes the speed different. Usually, the signs will have this lower speed of either 45 or 35, depending on the particular area and the type of roadway. But if the roadway is not signed for any speed limit, then it is automatically 55 miles an hour. And I would think that probably addresses a majority of the town or the county roads in the county are a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
So is one of your problems that if we limited their speed limit to 35 miles an hour on county roads, and they came onto a part of the county road that was 60 miles an hour, that they would be in jeopardy of being hit by another car that's going faster or vehicle?
Yes, that's the standard concern with any type of speed differentiation between vehicles going down the roadway. I mean, that's, you know, they try to get the speed limit the same for all traffic, but when you get slower traffic, that is where the conflict comes in, and that's where the safety becomes more of an issue, is with vehicles going different speeds and one coming up on the other at a faster speed limit.
Jeff, there is an ATV route that looks like to me on this map that's coming out of Dakota. There's a little section of double I that's being used right now. Am I correct on that?
Yes, that was put in place several years ago, and we have had no problems on that particular stretch of double I, but that is a lower density road as far as our county road system. I would be more concerned, some of our county roads, like County P, County C, County V, have a lot of traffic, and it's all high-speed traffic. You know, so those would be ones that, you know, I would definitely be afraid of allowing any type of use.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Do these UTVs and that have speedometers on them?
Yes.
Typically?
I don't have one myself.
Been on my brother's with them and them.
I'm wondering too, some of the counties that have allowed the use of ATVs, UTVs, and so on, I heard at one point in time, and do not know if this is true fact or not, that those clubs, or the club from there, needs to carry a liability policy, an insurance policy.
I've heard of some of that, depending on how ordinances are constructed or how it's, you know, how it's structured or whatever. I've heard the same types of requirements, but I can't say, you know, if it's a standard across the state or anything like that.
The reason why I'm asking is when you brought up that accident near Plainfield, and there's attorneys asking for all kinds of information, that smells like a lawsuit going on. And
my experience,
who's going to be in fault there? Is it going to be the township that allowed it, or what?
Yeah, that's a question I don't know, Dennis, but I've been doing this long enough that when a law firm wants records, they're usually looking to sue somebody, my experience.
My opposition is strictly safety. I know how I'd feel if I came over a hill and somebody was puttering around in front of me at 35 miles an hour. And I had a choice, either take the ditch and possibly be killed, and I'm old enough that's not such a big deal anymore, or punt them out into the field and very likely kill them. And that's why my township, Town of Springwater, opposes it, because we have a ton of people on the roads, especially in the summertime when they would be driving. And you've got trees that come right up to the road. It'd be fantastic out there, but boy, it wouldn't be safe. And if they're out there, I myself as a town chairman, if I were to allow this, no matter who got hurt or what happened, it would be my responsibility because I allowed it. I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. The other townships can do what they wish. I've got all I can do with Town of Springwater, but I know how I'd feel because it would be my doing. That's all I've got to say.
Could we address any of the people in the crowd that spoke?
Sure. Do you have a specific question?
The gentleman who spoke, who has, yes, you. What is your proposal for the speed limit?
35 miles per hour.
What's that?
35 miles per hour, and that's standard across all the county at this point. Any ordinance that we've proposed that has been enacted by the towns and villages, 35 miles per hour, unless that town or village road is of a lower speed limit. So, let's say in the village of Red Granite, there's a lot of 25 mile per hour speed limit signs for the ATV and UTV
get, one of my concerns is what Everett had said about safety, and I guess these route connections, how do you feel? What is your answer for the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit if it is a 60-mile-an-hour thoroughfare?
So if you look at what we gave you on the piece of paper and the map that we provided you, the connections are incredibly short. So, some of them are 250, 300 feet. I think some of them are maximum 1.6 miles, I believe, is one of the ones that we had a maximum distance on. So you're only on the route for 30 to 45 seconds, up to a couple of minutes. So I think a lot of the other counties in our area and up north have had great success with a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. We're kind of doing what works, right? We'll see what works in surrounding counties. We'll try that, I think some ATVs and, well, I know most UTVs at this point could, but some ATVs that are a little bit older have, lesser power, like a 400 cc engine. Maybe not, could even get to 55 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, so.
The state limits the speed.
Not necessarily, no. It would be in an ordinance that would limit it.
To answer the liability question, I know you guys didn't ask me directly, but Ruth, if you want to look at State Statute 895.52, it's a recreational immunity. It's the same, yeah, you're right. There you go. So, to answer your question, no, the town would not be liable in that regard.
Do the vehicles have any lights, like possibly a red light on the rear end of them that would be flashing so that?
So state law and our ordinances reinforces that you have, not flashing, but you have to have working tail and brake lights and working headlights. So that's something that we require in our ordinances, and the state law requires that as well. So every new vehicle has those particular features on it.
Is there something that we could do to force them into having that light on them that would flash if they were going on the roads? Could we have an ordinance like that?
I think it would confuse folks too. Their tail lights similar to a vehicle.
I did not look that up, Mike, so I can't give you an answer.
Thank you.
What about direction? Are there directionals on them?
There's no directions. Not required by state law. And I would say probably 95% of the people here do not use a directional on the way to the courthouse anyway, so.
I'll take exception to
Except for
that.
Bob Allen, he drove me, so Bob used directionals. I saw him, I made sure.
The other thing someone from your group mentioned the trail system. You don't really have a trail system.
No, so we,
Snowmobile people have a trail system. They worked very hard to develop that trail system. I don't see the ATV people doing that.
so we're working hard to get routes, and trails are a bit harder, so I don't know what the percentage of land that's used in Washera County for farming, but obviously during the summertime, nobody wants to allow an ATV through their field when they're making money, through farming or what have you. So at this point, we have some acreage. Someone offered up a 120-acre parcel that we'd be able to use if we could ever connect to it. It's in the town of Saxville. So there's other areas where there has been, smaller acreage parcels that you'd be able to ride through. We just can't reach them yet. So routes, are just a better option for us in Washera County at this point.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Ben and Heather a question here. If somebody's caught on a route that isn't a route, is it a pretty hefty fine?
I can find out for you.
So it's in the county ordinance, actually.
County ordinance?
You guys have a county ordinance that states what the fine is. The sheriff actually pointed it out to me like 6-7 months ago. So there should be the standard ordinance.
Okay, so there is something in place, I guess is where I was going with that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then state law there is as well.
Okay.
Of operation on a roadway.
Thank you.
I have a question for the spokesperson. All these ATVs have to have a license or identification number, correct?
Yep, and I'm not sure the exact size, 5x7, somewhere around there. There has to be a license plate white with black lettering on
And
each
that
ATV.
is
UTV.
registered with the DNR, or the counties, or state? or-
The DNR, so it's a state registration, it's good for 2 years.
So it-
Snowmobiles have stickers, the ATVs also have a sticker on each side that has that same license plate number on the stickers on the side of the.
So if there was a individual or a group of them that were going faster, somebody was able to get a number, relayed that to the sheriff, would they have jurisdiction to go after those people, Sheriff Net, or not?
We've had this discussion quite a bit. Yes, you could. Pictures would be better. Video would be better. Everyone's got a cell phone now. You can take a video of it. If they can match the person to that machine, then that's obviously the best course of action.
And that's the difficult part, especially if they're wearing helmets as they should, because we can't just write a ticket to the owner of the machine, who it comes back to. We need to write a ticket to the operator.
Only that,
In most cases.
not only that, you shouldn't be reaching for your cell phone when you're driving anyway.
It's with the
Yes.
passenger.
You talk about if we get reports of a violation, we can follow up, but it's the same type if we get reports of erratic driving on the highway, somebody running a stop sign. If we're not in the position, being close to the area, we're not going to catch up with the person. More times than not, those complaints we don't get a chance to act on because we don't have the time, we don't have the capabilities of following up, and we just don't have, we're just not in the area to really do much. We have, with the waters, we get complaints of boating, jet skis, driving of all types of vehicles. So, if somebody has a violation of an ATV that they give us, more times than not, we're not going to be able to do much with it.
I just wanted to touch on there was a question about liability. I think you referred to 895. I believe that refers to private landowners for activities like hunting and fishing. If they allow somebody to come on and they were to accidentally get shot, it would be applicable to private landowners. Under NR 6412 sub 7 sub D states all terrain vehicle route signing shall be done by or under the direction of and is the responsibility of the unit of government which designates the all terrain vehicle route. So there is potential that if a route is enacted and it's not signed properly, the person signing that ordinance could be held liable. So
Who determines correct signing?
There is statutory language that gives direction on what needs to be signed and how, and there's actually a signing handbook. Most clubs are familiar with it.
There's a great article on the League of Municipality website that refers to 895.52 and the municipality says you're absolutely right, it is for private property, but also public as well. Thanks, Evan.
So the question I have is, if I'm driving down the road and an ATV hits me and the person is injured, is that my insurance that pays for that? I don't know. Does anybody know?
Well, it's a hypothetical.
I know.
There's no right answer. But I will tell you that in the world of insurance, you're at fault just for being there. If your car is parked on the street and somebody hits it, you're partially liable because your car was there. So, is your insurance going to be partially liable? Probably. Is it fully liable? It depends on what the accident report says. It depends on, there's lots of factors in that. But in the world of insurance, insurance companies view you being there as you being partially responsible. It doesn't matter what the circumstances is, whether it's an ATV, another car, you're parked, you're doing an activity by your car.
I'm parked legally, then.
You're still liable because your car's there. In the world of insurance.
All right. Ruth and I are gonna argue about this after the meeting.
I had lots of insurance claims.
Yes, Bob.
There was a question for Coloma Camperland.
Yes.
Maybe Brian can address this. If they can't run on the road, could they run in the road right away and be off the road then? Can't do that either?
According to state statute, if it's on a route, they have to be on blacktop.
What if it's not a route, but to just give permission for them to get there? Can't do that?
No, not on public right away. There's an issue with that going on right now on 73 up by, Ponderosa Pines.
They allow snowmobiles to go in the ditch though.
Talk to them too over there.
Real quick.
Pass that off real quick, didn't you?
I think you see a lot of and a lot of these laws have been in place for a number of years, so I don't know the backstory on them necessarily, but a lot of the things that you see with snowmobiles being able to do things is because the ground is frozen, for one. And so, you know, you get ATVs, you go along any routes in Adams County, or not, excuse me, trails that go alongside any of the roads that may be on private property outside the right-of-way, you see two tracks because of that regular use, so it does do that damage. I don't know if that has something to do with it, if just the number of vehicles use,
But they're not allowed to use the ditch like snowmobiles are?
correct, they're not.
All right, are there any other questions? If not, I think we'll move on with our agenda. So, what?
Well, I know this was discussion only. Yes. But I actually need some direction from the county board. Because we've been here now for an hour and a half. We've listened to a lot of things, and I actually cannot let you leave here tonight without telling me where you want to go. Whether that's, you want me to send it to a committee, you want me to draft a proposed ordinance to bring back. I need something from you, because otherwise you've wasted all of these people's time, you've wasted your time, you've wasted my time. I need something. I need some direction.
Yes, Pat.
I would like you to draft a proposal, an ordinance based upon what they had asked for connection routes and a 35-hour speed limit. And then the county board members could vote on it up or down, and that would probably be next month, I would assume, correct? That's what I would like to see. Yeah.
Is there a second? Mike Cap, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And I'll say no.
Right.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote on this. 4 noes.
All right, Mr. Waddell,
Aye.
Mr. Rothermel,
Aye.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz,
Yes.
Mr. Heisey,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
No.
Mr. Cap,
No.
Mr. Eckstein,
No.
Mr. Weddy, Mrs. Colada,
No.
Mr. King.
Yes.
And I'll bring something back next month.
All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being so polite to each other. And on that note, we are going to move on. We'll take a little break here.
You want everyone to leave so you can get out?
Heather, where are you from?
I'm actually living in the very southwest corner of Wapaka County. And I can still blow it down.
Yeah, we'll just let them.
Blow it down next month.
Huh?
Meet all these people here.
Oh, really? Be here next month.
Yeah.
On good terms.
minutes I seen. We're going to have 20 minutes pro and 20 minutes fit. That was going to be it.
I told you, meeting started on record.
Average age is 53 years. What about their reports on these things?
And again, it's not the full map, Tom. As you can see, it's a full map.
Double pay tonight?
See, I think that we should be able to have it so if they come out onto a county road, even if it's for 10 feet, nobody, because we don't have it.
Right down the interstate. Everything, I don't think it changed anybody's county. Has to worry about
Instead of Aurora pass it, Aurora just passed it one section.
About 500 feet, or a quarter of a mile, and a quarter of a mile. Aurora did the same thing.
Right.
Aurora and Parsippany.
Did that little bit, you know, and they said we passed it, we did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. That's why I want to see on this
37.
thing that Ruth is drawing up. There better be something in that.
Should be over here, we are even on here.
Just open as double X. We're north. You gotta be north.
Yeah,
Oh, you're not even on there.
We're not even on here.
No,
That's what I said.
no. Here's 40. Here's 49. You still got another half a township over here. Yeah.
Not even on there.
just to get them off the map.
That's right. Yeah, they did it. Yeah. Aurora did the same thing. We gave a little section to those.
Yeah.
We gave a little section to the
General convention here.
Now we're done, we can't go here. Parsippany,
We have to get some
he
business
said we
going here.
passed it. And he lives on 37th Street.
I ain't getting either. I didn't make enough money.
Talking for these guys, they're town of Aurora.
He lives on 37th Street. This guy does.
Yeah.
He can't go nowhere. That makes him mad. I know it is. Maybe they'll all leave and we'll get to pass the drinks around or something around.
Time with our tenants. How many lights have that?
When I was raising my family, I had to sell my guns and stuff for Christmas.
I believe it.
Goddamn kids now they're going to buy a new pickup.
Different world, Jerry.
Yeah, I know. Had a woman at work say that her kids wanted these games.
Oh, yeah, you're
I bought 10 of them.
How many?
Let's move on.
Sheriff.
How many did you buy?
Can we call the meeting to order here?
Believe me, I got things to do tonight.
You kidding me? Oh, my Lord.
Get these cleared out.
Yeah, so they get going. I'm just saying, go.
We got a county board meeting.
Can we get these guys out?
All right, we're gonna continue on with our meeting.
Gotta be quiet.
All right, next we have the county, I'm sorry, you have to discuss this out in the hall. All right, next we are gonna have the county administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will keep this brief because I know we've been here for a while. Most of what I have to report is part of the agenda that's coming up. I will say that on Friday we had our employee luncheon. It was attended by over 200 very happy people. Also, I was very pleased the number of the retirees came back. I received several comments from people that they particularly enjoyed having the retirees back because it was like a class reunion of sorts. So it's like going to your high school class reunion, but you didn't have to talk about the football game when the pass was dropped. One thing I do want to do is I'm going to defer for a moment. Is Colin Williams still here? Is he still here? It's the holiday season, and we try to keep this upbeat as much as possible. Some of you may know about this, some of you may not, but this involves the great work your staff does that many people, and particularly members of the public, are not aware of. We have people come to work here every day, and they just don't phone it in. They go above and beyond. They do great work for the people of Waushara County. Much of it is no one really knows about, and I decided to highlight Colin's work on behalf of a young man that the Department of Human Services is serving, and because this is Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers are involved as well, so that should make it palatable to everybody. So Colin, why don't you come on up and tell us the situation.
right. Good evening. So my name is Colin Williams. I am a mentor with the Human Services Department. I've been doing that for coming up on 2 years now. I've been seeing this client in particular for that entire time. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's kind of had a rough go throughout his whole life. He's been adopted. He's part of a foster family that he now considers his actual family. But he's just struggled with behavioral issues and school issues since he's been in school. So right now he's currently at a residential facility in Mukwonago, Wisconsin. He'll be there for at least a year. He started in August and he won't be back until August of 2018, and that's a minimum. So obviously he's stressed about being at a new place. It's a scary thing for a kid to be away from your family for such a long time. And us as a county, us as an organization, has tried to figure out, like, what can we do to make this a little easier for him? And of course, his response was he wanted like a care package full of food. But we wanted to do something more special. So I had the idea to contact the Green Bay Packers and just see if they would send something, thinking they would just send maybe a letter, like just saying, hey, we're thinking about you. And that was like just a minimal expectation. Like, I didn't even think we would even get that. Because we are obviously in the midst of the NFL season, so I wasn't expecting much. But literally like 3 days later, I sent the letter on a Friday. I got a response on a Tuesday from somebody with the organization saying, yes, absolutely, we'll do that. Give us his information, get some releases signed so we can get that information, and we'll send something out for him. Who's his favorite player? What's his shirt size? We'll take care of him. Week later, he got the package. I had the staff where he is staying video record his response. So if anybody would like to take a look at that, I do have that because his response is pretty cool. But he ended up receiving a T-shirt, a Packers T-shirt, a water bottle, mini football, and his prized possession, which was an autographed picture of Aaron Rodgers, which is currently obviously in my possession because he is afraid that he will either get it wrecked or get it stolen where he is now. So I'm keeping it safe with me until he returns. But just to see his response and his positivity towards that action made it all worth it. And just, I mean, the Green Bay Packers organization, too, didn't even hesitate doing what they did. They just went ahead and did it. So it was really just a cool thing to see. And I'm happy that I was a part of it, and again, happy to see his response to the whole thing. So that was it.
I think he's probably very lucky to have you for his mentor. Good job.
Yeah, he's pretty obsessive sometimes with me, but that's okay. That's what I'm there for.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
So I will end my report by stating that Colin, what he does every day and what all of your staff does every day is really rather typical. It's just these are the unsung heroes, and I know I've told a lot of people that we really need to start letting people know about the good work that the folks here do. And Colin is just a typical example of what our people do, whether it's in Human Services or the Highway Department, the Sheriff's Department, or Health, or Department of Aging. We do some great work here, and I want everyone to know about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we're going on to discussion and possible motion action items. The first one is Aging and Disability Resource Center contract.
So basically, we used to do this by a memorandum of understanding. The state law changed and it needs to be a formal contract approved by the county board because our Aging and Disability Resource Center is technically considered a new entity because one of the counties left. And so instead of having 4 counties, we're down to 3. So it's not changing any of the terms, it's not changing any of the funding, it's just changing from a memorandum of understanding to a formal agreement.
Motion by King.
I'll second it.
Second by Krentz. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have a resolution number 28-12-17, a resolution authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks. Motion by Weddy. Second by Cap. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 29-12-17, a resolution making the Buildings and Grounds Department a division of administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has already been before the Executive Personnel and Building and Grounds Committee and has received the approval of those three committees. Essentially what this does, it's not a statement on the worth of our retiring Building and Grounds Department Director, Randy Gramsey. It's simply a way it was an opportunity to look at what the department was doing and to make it more efficient. This will not result in any reduction in staffing. What it will do is we'll bring this function under the administration so the administration staff can handle the day-to-day management and paperwork for them, and whomever the new building ground supervisor is will be able to devote all of his or her time to taking care of our beautiful building and our grounds.
Motion by Kirschner to approve, second by Waddell. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have resolution number 30-12-17, a resolution amending resolution numbers 10-04-05 and 24-06-11, restructuring the emergency management position.
Jeff, do you want to handle this? Or do you want, if you want me, that's fine.
With the retirement of Lieutenant Mark Piaski, we took this time to look at his job and how it was done compared to what the needs were. The emergency management part of Mark's job took up all of his time. It did cause problems with him trying to do the courthouse security part of his job, and it did cause problems with us having coverage issues with courthouse security, transporting prisoners back and forth between the jail and the courthouse. We looked at it, and the state of Wisconsin Division of Emergency Management, which we answer to, has in the past been concerned with the level of the work that was being done. The reason the state has a kick in this is they provide half the funding for the position, so they do have a say on what we do with that position. They've ever since we've had it in the Sheriff's Department, the level of work that needed to be done to complete the requirements for the emergency management have always lagged, and we felt it was better to, at this time with Mark retiring, to take his duties and separate them and create a position that was just with emergency management, and to give that the time of the hours needed to complete that work. We also discussed with Bob and the committees involved the ability of this person to become a grant writer for the county and take up some of those grant opportunities and follow up with that. So did I explain it right, or did I miss something?
Brilliant, brilliant.
Anybody have any questions for Jeff?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Cap, second by Eckstein. Ruth has informed me we will need a roll call vote on this because we are taking two positions. One position, making it two.
Mr. Rothermel.
Hey.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krentz.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Cap.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein. Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Collada.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Waddell.
Yes.
All right, next we have resolution number 31-12-17, a resolution creating a full-time security deputy position within the Sheriff's Department. Motion by Weddy, second by Kirschner. Any questions or comments? Do you want to explain more about this, Jeff?
Sure. Continuation with Mark retiring, the courthouse security has become very complex. To give you a background, we have a core of part-time deputies that provide coverage 100% in this building during the days that the courthouse is open. That's the only time they work. But when the court is in session, they stay by the judge. If we have a visiting judge, and we do have times where we have two judges in the building at the same time, it takes some of that job duties to keep track of what's going on in both courthouses. That still leaves us with the need to respond to other incidents within the courthouse or the North Annex, and we also have a responsibility of transporting prisoners from the jail to court for court appearances. That becomes a major source of manpower needs during the weekdays. Sometimes we're shuttling 3 or 4 people over for court during the day. When Mark was doing that job, he was doing that shuttling, but it was taking him away from the emergency management part of it. I can justify the need for having a full-time deputy assigned to the courthouse to supplement what we have on hand with already our part-time people because of the workload in this court and with the duties of responding elsewhere between this building and the North Annex.
Do we have enough money to pay for all these positions, though?
Yes, the emergency management is going to be taken over by county administration, and I still have the funds within my budget.
These were discussed at the time of budget.
Right.
When Bob was doing the budget.
I remember that now, yes.
Room for it.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second, and we'll need a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krentz.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Kapp.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein. Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Palata.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Waddell.
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, we have resolution number 32-12-17, a multi-discharge variance resolution. Looking for a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Cap to approve,
Second.
second by Waddell. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have resolution number 33-12-17, a resolution amending resolution number 25-11-17, authorizing reorganization of the Department of Land Conservation and Zoning for Sheriff County.
We adopt this resolution?
Okay, motion by Krentz, second by Eckstein. Do you have any questions or comments? Do you need an explanation from zoning?
It's just the, it's to comply with the start of the payroll period, so.
Okay.
It's just housekeeping.
Okay. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have resolution number 34-12-17, resolution allowing participation in the Wisconsin County Fish and Game Project. Motion by Weddy to approve, second by Eckstein. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Resolution number 35-12-17, a resolution committing funds to support building of a new Fox Valley Technical College Regional Center. We had our presentation last month. Motion by King, second by Krentz. Any questions? Yes.
I guess I don't understand why we need to support the Fox Valley Technical Institute in this way. They have full taxing authority, and so why do we have to use some of our tax money to support them? I've talked with Wapaka County. They built a similar building outside of Wapaka. Wapaka County didn't contribute anything toward that building, so I don't know why we have to.
We don't have to. This was brought to me back in August. it's an economic development issue. It's not just to educate kids. It's to improve the skill level of our citizens. This is a poor county. Waushara County is in the bottom 10th of the 72 Wisconsin counties as far as poverty is concerned. And one way to address poverty is to get people better jobs, more high-paying jobs. And one of the problems we have here is we do not have the typical workforce member with sufficient skill levels to get those higher-paying jobs. That, in fact, lower-paid residents are not paying as much in taxes and are taxing us because there's a greater demand for services. So this is an economic development issue, and I would make reference to the fact that the county spends $40,000 a year as membership for the Tri-County Economic Development Corporation. This would be $5,000 over 5 years, so it's $25,000 total over 5 years. And not that I'm denigrating what Tretzi does, but I think that the bang that we're getting for this $5,000 is fantastic. It's a minor part of the expense for the campus that's going to be built on the high school, for the building that's going to be built on the high school campus, and I think it's a way of showing the county's support for that. Now, $5,000 to the typical person is a lot of money, but in the realm of a $40 million annual budget, it is not, and as I said, it will help us in the long run by improving our tax base, by improving the earning capacity of our residents, and I'm being quite honest with you, if I could get this much bang for every $5,000 I spend, I'd be dancing in the streets. So this is a wise decision. I understand there may be philosophical reasons not to do this. There may be focus on the $5,000 itself, but I think in the long run this will be a wise policy decision for the board to make. But obviously, ultimately, the decision is yours.
And I'd like to add also, just a second, Bob, I would like to add that they are also going to allow the Department of Workforce Development to come in and have an office there. They're very excited about it because they said, you know, hopefully they can reach more students that way. They're hoping to get into the middle school, and so they're very excited about being able to be in this area, have an office here, and be able to work with the people in this county. Now, Bob.
They kind of related to it last time when they were here, but I'm still not 100% sure that that's going to benefit the outlying districts, Wild Rose, Plainfield, and part of the Westfield district. Wautoma can walk over there from their classrooms. They can have it during the day. The instructors will be there. Are they going to be willing enough to have a nighttime class so that these outlying school districts, who are also part of Waushara County paying that $5,000, are going to be able to participate? Because in the past, I can't give you names. I didn't come prepared for that, but there has been people that have registered for a Fox Valley course. Oh, there's not enough people here. You have to go to Wapaka or to Oshkosh to get that, but yet they want our money to support a building that will 90%, not that I'm against Wautoma, but 90% probably benefit the students of the Wautoma School District.
If they were building that building in Richford, would you expect us to support that?
Probably not, because it would benefit Coloma and the other ones. I think
But it benefits everyone, Bob.
why don't the industries like MEC and some of those, why don't they kick in a little more? Has somebody explored that? They want the jobs, they want the people trained, and yet the taxpayers, I know it's only $5,000, but we had a big discussion about giving the libraries 2% or 2% increase, and that benefits every single person, or every single person in the county could benefit from that. That's only a select few that get to benefit from that $5,000 that we're going to put into the tech ed thing if we vote that way.
Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they have been in discussions with the other schools to bus them in during the day for the programs.
Okay.
So
See, that was not, they said they would look into it, but
I think that they have been in those discussions. I don't know for sure that they're solidified, but I know that they've been talking to them.
If I could elaborate, your point is well taken. Fox Valley is committed to serving the people in its district, and as you may recall from the discussion last month, we are kind of off in the hinterlands, in the southwest corner of that district, and they have not been able to service this area as much as possible. So building the building here in Watoma is a way to do that. Now, I know that it's not in Wild Rose or other areas that it could be for those folks, but Fox Valley's not going to be building 3 or 4 buildings in Washira County. I can't speak to them as far as their scheduling or anything else, but I do know that they're committed. The reason why they're doing this is for Washira County. They're putting it in Watoma because it's the county seat, and I will also say they're putting it in Watoma because the Watoma Area School District has been very cooperative to them. Not that I'm saying that no one else is cooperative, but that's one of the big reasons for doing that. And I'll also say that Fox Valley has sought funding from a variety of sources, both private and public. I don't have that list in front of me, but I know that they've spoken to, they have a great partnership with private employers, because this benefits private employers too. One of the biggest problems, one of the reasons why we can't get manufacturing here is because we don't have a workforce with the skills, and this addresses that.
Just to add a little bit onto that, at the TRED-C meeting here year and a half ago, we had all the superintendents and everything from all the schools around the area, and we were discussing the Fox Valley thing. And all the schools around in the county had shuttles that they ran all the way up to Appleton for the kids to go up there. And I have no doubt in my mind that it'll be a lot shorter route for these kids that are out and outlying, and they will be able to come in with transportation like that. And it's just easier that way, and a lot easier than going all the way to Appleton all the time.
Yes?
So I've been approached by the guy that runs the truck driving class up there. So you have to be 18 or above for that. So it's not just high school guys, Bob, I guess is what I'm getting at. They want to park their trucks in our yard and be able to do the first 8 weeks for the people that are down here, and the last 4 weeks for that course up in Appleton. So it's not just for the high school kids, just so you guys know that.
Right.
Yes. Larry?
I just wanted to go on record and say I'm not opposed to the school. I think it's a very good thing to have in Washira County. It's just that I don't like the idea of I have to pay tax dollars to the technical school to support these outlying schools in other counties, and now I'm supposed to pay twice for this one. Somehow that doesn't seem fair.
All right. Anybody else? We have a motion and a second. You said a roll call vote would be in order.
Mrs. Krentz?
Yes.
Mr. Heisey?
Yes.
Mr. Tim?
No?
Mr. Kapp?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Collada?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Wado?
No.
Mr. Rothermel?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Next, we're going to resolution number 36-12-17, initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $1,900,000 general obligation promissory notes for capital improvement projects.
Okay, good evening. Thanks,
Good evening, Mike.
Donna. Most of you know me or have seen me around. I'm Mike Konechny, and I've been helping the county out this year with finance and helped out with the budget and creating a finance department. And just want to summarize a little bit of background for this debt issue. If you recall, we had came to the county board in, I think it was April, with the idea of a capital improvements plan. Most governments have done these over the years. And you adopted a capital improvement plan at your November meeting. And it was, 2018, 19, 20. It was a five-year plan. And included in that plan was capital expenditures for 2018 totaling about $4.9 million. Now, of that $4.9 million, about $3 million of that was funded through the budget. There was a lot of county highway projects in there. There was sheriff cars, different things were in there in the budget. 1.8 million of that was included in that KIP plan, capital improvement plan, to be funded by long-term debt. And that was approved in November. And the capital expenditures funded, just to refresh your mind, funded by long-term debt consist of the countywide radio communication system upgrade. That's by far the biggest item in that borrowing. A new jail monitoring system that I think is 17 or 18 years old, and patient monitoring equipment for EMS vehicles. Those are the three items in that borrowing. Like anything else, cost quotes were obtained and proposals were obtained. It was 1.8, now they're 1.9. Just a relatively small difference. The county intends to issue general obligation notes of what in this resolution says 1.9 million payable in equal installments over 5 years. The debt service on that is about $400,000 per year. At this time, with the budget we've adopted, well, certainly for 18, there'll just be interest only, one interest payment. Principal would start in 19. The county intends to use either fund balance on hand. You're all aware, I think most of you are aware, you do have a healthy fund balance that will allow you to spend down a little bit. But we also believe we can find room in the budget for some of that potentially without raising the tax levy. So that's the background here. I also have Jeff Belangi is here from the bond consultant firm, and he can explain what this initial resolution means and how it all works. Just one, to borrow money in Wisconsin, and this is a state statute, you must be approved by 3/4 of the county board in attendance to borrow money. But the key point is here, these projects in here have been approved in the KIP plan, scheduled for long-term debt, and either the fund balance or there will be room in the budget to finance this without increasing the county tax rate. I'll take any questions, otherwise I'll turn it over to Jeff from Hutchinson, and he can explain a little bit about what this resolution means. Any questions that you want me to answer?
Good evening, everyone. I remember some of the faces. It was 2011 in the summer where we did the last financing, the $7.25 million for the county. Great successful financing. When I'm looking at the interest rates there, we're at 2% out to a 3.5 in year 10. So obviously that issue was well received in the market, and I would expect this one to be also. For counties in Wisconsin, unlike school districts who are required to go to referendum in most circumstances, not all, but cities and villages and townships, as you know, simple majority vote can issue debt. Counties are a little different. In order for us to go out for the county and to solicit interest rate quotes, there's a bunch of work that needs to get done before we're in a position to have an official statement, which is a marketing document, and getting it out and coming back to the county board. With this resolution, you're not really borrowing any money. You'll notice that, of course, there's no interest rates in there. You're not looking at an amortization schedule, although Mike has explained we expect to pay that back over 5 years at roughly just under $400,000 on an estimated where the current market is. But we need to have, obviously, that resolution in hand, because you can imagine it's difficult for us to go to a prospective investor to get interest rate quotes for the county when they say to us, well, have they authorized the debt by the 3/4 vote? You can say, well, no, and they'll say, stop wasting my time. I'm going to invest my money in another Wisconsin county. So it is important, certainly in terms of the vote. There will be a subsequent resolution brought to the board. It will be the actual borrowing resolution. It will have, obviously, all the interest rates in it. I will have for you various comparables from the market. I can tell you right now, this particular financing with your excellent AA- credit rating that we received last time is going to be very well received. And I would guess, unless the market really goes to heck in a handbasket, between now and the time we're actually able to get these rates back to you, and we're considering January, their January meeting, so quick turnaround in terms of getting everything done, that I would expect that with all costs of issuance, you're still going to be under a 2.5% for that particular fund. So certainly I think we all realize that each year in terms of goods and services, we're probably eating up at least 2% now, and it's probably going to increase with the way it sounds like the economy's going. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. I certainly hope to be back with interest rates for you, but again, that will determine the vote on this particular intent resolution. This intent resolution also serves another purpose. It would allow the county to expend some funds on hand that they might have for certain projects as bids come in, if they come in quicker than we anticipate, or for items, equipment purchases, those types of things, and then reimburse those funds from this amount not to exceed 1.9 million. So we're not going to borrow more than that. We can only borrow up to that, but that at least looks like the amount that you need based on the budget and the capital improvement project plan that the county board has adopted in November. Clear enough, I hope?
Questions?
Go ahead. One of the, I just was curious what the surplus account is at. Do you have an idea?
Mike can give us a better figure. I will tell you, Mike and I met this afternoon, and I'm pleased to say that we are in good shape. We have a sizable surplus, but Mike can offer detail.
The unassigned, what they call unassigned, that's the, you have various committed fund balance. The unassigned general fund balance is over $8 million right now. And I did take a little look at 17 today, and 17 looks like a good budget year also for you. So it likely will increase. I would expect it to be potentially up to around 8.5 million.
May I also add to your question, because it's a very good question. When we go out to sell securities, offer them for purchase, the credit rating is indicative of the interest rates you're going to pay. I think everybody understands that. The higher the credit rating, the lower the interest cost. One of the reasons this county, and you're not the largest county in the state of Wisconsin, which you know, one of the reasons you garnered that AA- was due to the fact that you have considerable reserves, and you've managed yourselves very well in terms of that. I always urge my clients, and I've been in this business 37 years, to be reluctant to send, when you see that money, to spend down those reserves too far, because it will erode your credit rating. And it is one of those things that you have control over as a governing body. You don't have control over the median home values. You don't have much control over average income levels. There are a lot of things that go into a credit rating that you, as a governing body, do not have control over. But you certainly have control over how you budget and what you can get to drop to the bottom line to feed those reserves. Secondly, if we can avoid paying interest costs, and really the significance of this is, you could have an A+ rating, which is one grade lower than your AA-, and it will cost you in this market almost 0.5% for every maturity that you're issuing, and that's 5 years worth. So that's significant. I know you're not getting a lot of investment earnings currently, but I also know that that's going to change. Rates are starting to go up. Yellen bumped the discount rate 0.25%. They're talking about obviously maybe 3 more bumps during this next year. So you're gaining on your investment side of things, and it's cash that's really unencumbered by IRS regulations. Bond proceeds or borrowed monies are very restricted in terms of what the IRS looks at. They only give us a certain period of time to expend them. They treat us as, luckily, we're a small issuer with this, so you get preferential treatment in terms of being able to spend over 3 years without any penalties and invest over 3 years without any penalties. So that's a plus. So your question's very, very good question. I'm really proud of being able to bring this credit to market. And quite frankly, what you do in subsequent years with those fund balances are obviously in your hands. But at this particular point, I'm pleased to be able to go in with a marketing tool and a credit rating request to Standard & Poor's based on the numbers that, Mike has just referred to in your audit. So just wanted to throw that out so there was a understanding of, my mother used to say when I fight with my brother, we'd each tell her a different story, and she'd say, well, no matter how thin the page, there's still two sides. So that's the other side of looking at those reserves. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Madam Chair, if I could
Yes.
say, just to tag on to what Mike and Jeff said, and I understand that obviously the reserve is free, but the bond is pretty low interest rate, and as Jeff alluded to, it looks like interest rates are going to be going up after about a decade of remaining very low. So that's the reason for the haste. And as far as the reserve goes, that's our rainy day fund in case we have some sort of natural disaster, a flood or tornado, or conceivably if the market, if the economy goes south and we need to ride through hopefully a brief recession, and I'm not making any predictions on that. The other thing I wanted to discuss, as Mike stated, we need a 3/4 majority vote, which means we need 9 yes votes. A 3/4 majority is 8 1/4, but nobody can vote a quarter of a vote. So we need 9 votes, and I want to emphasize how important this is, that we do this not only to take advantage of the present low interest rates, but also the bulk of this, as Mike said, will be spent on our radio tower communications. One of the reasons why we want to do this is because we have neglected that, keeping that up to the standards it should be. And as you know, technology is always moving forward, and I'm afraid if we don't take care of this now, we're already behind the 8 ball. We're going to fall further behind. And a good analogy would be we're going to be the guy who has a VHS recorder in his house, and as you know, that's not much use anymore. So we do need to upgrade. Thank you.
We have a motion?
No.
No, we need a motion. Motion by Weddy, second by Cap. All right, we've had our questions answered. We will do this in a roll call vote as well.
Mr. Heisey?
Yes.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Cap?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Collada?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Waddell?
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mrs. Krentz?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That motion has passed. All right, resolution number 37-12-17, an acknowledgement of Scott Blader's service to Waushara County. Motion by Eckstein, second by Waddell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Have we made any progress in replacing him, or what's the status?
The governor's committee has started interviews this week. They had told us that it would be 8 to 12 weeks before they made a decision. I do know that there were several people that had an interview this week. That's the first round of interviews. If they make it through that round, there will be background checks and then a second interview. So I know of at least 2 people that have applied and had interviews this week. I'm sure that there were more, but we've started that process.
Thank you.
All right, ordinance number 616, ordinance amending Waushara County zoning maps pursuant to the it's been a long night. Authority granted in Chapter 58 Waushara County Code, zone change, Pro Stands LLC, Town of Poisippi. Motion by Kirschner, second by Tim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have ordinance number 617, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-1 with Waushara County Codes. Motion by Waddell. Second by Weddy. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have an appointment to the Board of Health. Patty Miller, term January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2019. Who is she replacing? Okay. Motion by Eckstein, second by Weddy. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Board suggestions for future agenda items. Got anything, Pat?
I have a question. When you draft or work on this ordinance, is there any, can you put anything in there about liability insurance or? that-
I think, Dennis, that maybe Ruth and Bob need to get together and, you know, I know we have that ordinance that was written in Marathon County. I think that's when you're
That's what I'm referring
referring to, yeah.
We'll see what our sister counties have done, and we don't like to reinvent the wheel.
That you did address me.
What?
Yes, I think that, you know, we should, oftentimes at government meetings, there's nobody there in our audience. And we have a bit of an audience here today. We have a big audience, and that's good. It's good to
It's a
have
very good
civic
thing.
involvement.
Yes,
And
I agree.
and I know it's something that was a hot issue, but I think we should remember that. We should appreciate the fact that they came out and they're concerned and whatever. So I'm just saying that
I, for one, really do appreciate it. So we had both sides, and that's a good thing. We had, you know, both points of view.
And just a reminder, there are holiday treats in the room next door, and I'm not gonna eat them all myself.
Oh, go ahead, Ruth.
Which is
My
another
God,
good
let's
reason
go,
to have
Bob.
the county.
Ready to go.
And I also
Been a
want
long
to tell
meeting,
you,
let's go.
the holiday treats are provided without a single tax dollar or even a tax penny. This is what your directors did for you because they appreciate the hard work that members of the board do as well. So this is our way of thanking you.
Adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.
Already?
You're not leaving without
So
getting
quick,
some
huh,
holiday-
Dennis? So quick, so soon.
Do you know who did it?
Nah, it's okay. I
Oh,
can look
shoot,
up.
I'm not sure who seconded.
Bit of fat hog.
Everett made the motion. Yeah, I just picked someone.
This is way
There you
past
are,
my
Ruth.
bedtime.
Rooster says to the hens, the hen house is burning. Let's get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.